There are some sports movies that just stick with you, regardless of whether you're a fan of that sport that it's portraying or not. And why is that? I think it's pretty simple. It isn't the sport that pulls the people in, it's the emotional character storylines that tug at us in a universal way. And Rudy did this to me tenfold. It was a little easier for me to fall in love with this movie because my dad was an All-American at Notre Dame. I was bred to love the Irish, like my hat right now. And by the time I watched Rudy, I had spent quite a bit of time on campus, so there was a familiarity there. I eventually ended up going to Holy Cross College, just like Rudy did. I wanted to be a student at Notre Dame, just like Rudy. I had plans of becoming fully enrolled, and I didn't plan on playing football there. But I did have dreams to follow in my dad's footsteps and run track, just like my dad did. And so it was very familiar to me already, but I never forget the day that I went to the admissions office, and that's the big Golden Dome building, which I'm sure is the most recognizable part of the university. I was with my dad. I was getting my class schedule for my coming junior year, and we were planning, my enrollment at the university. It was a big deal. We were going to sit down with the dean of admissions, just get everything squared away. I was going to be a student there, and it was awe-inspiring, to put it lightly, much less because the university was pumping in the musical score and the soundtrack from Rudy throughout the whole building. It was actually kind of laughable, just as to how magical it was. It was really kind of ridiculous, but not in a bad way. I mean, I just soaked it all in, But, why is this movie so touching? And I think it's mainly because we love underdog stories. You hear that all the time, and Rudy is one of the best underdog stories. We all feel that way sometimes, like an underdog, like we're, ill-equipped to achieve our dreams, or we're unnoticeable, or we're too small, or whatever the basic fake idea in our brain might be. Hopefully we don't feel like that all the time, of course, but we're human. And Rudy tells a very human story within an extraordinary situation. And this scene, Rudy he has just quit the football team, and yes, that is a spoiler. And his friend, Fortune, the groundskeeper, asks him why he isn't at practice. And what this scene does is such a tried and true approach to raising the level of emotion within a scene in order for a character to win the scene. And you'll notice that about halfway through, Rudy isn't really paying attention, or at least buying what Fortune is trying to tell him, because Fortune is a little upset that Rudy is not going to play on the team anymore. So Fortune's trying to convince him otherwise, but Rudy isn't really listening until Fortune drops a personal truth that Rudy didn't know. And you can see it, you can feel it. It changes Rudy's perspective. It changes how he's feeling about not only himself, but about his friend and about it all comes in. You can just see it and feel it. And it's not because of the performances. I mean, Charles Dutton plays Fortune, and he's incredible. But it's not that. It's about the moment. It's about how Rudy reacts to this very truthful statement and just truth that Fortune lays on him. And it's the perfect example of what a secondary character is supposed to do. A secondary character is there to guide and push that main character forward, whether it's totally conscious, like Fortune is much more of a mentor type of character, secondary character, or it's unconscious, and it's just that secondary just exists, and the mere existence of this character is what's affecting the main character. So, pay attention to these things when we're watching these scenes. And it's easy to fall in and just love the moment. But as a writer, we really have to be thinking about how is this constructed for my own stories. So this scene from the movie Rudy, it gets me every time.
Hey. What you doing here? Don't you have practice?
Not anymore. I quit.
Oh. Well, since when are you the quitting kind?
I don't know. I just don't see the point anymore.
So you didn't make the dress list. There are greater tragedies in the world.
I wanted to run out of that tunnel for my dad. To prove to everyone that I worked...
what?
That I was somebody.
Oh, you are so full of crap. You're 5 feet nothing. 100 and nothing. And you got hardly a speck of athletic ability. And you hung in with the best college football team in the land for 2 years. And you're also gonna walk out of here with a degree from the University of Notre Dame. In this lifetime, you don't have to prove nothing to nobody except yourself. And And after what you've gone through, if you haven't done that by now, it ain't gonna never happen. Now go on back.
I'm sorry I never got you to see your first game in here.
Hell, I've seen too many games in this stadium.
I thought you said you never saw a game.
I've never seen a game from the stands.
You were a player?
I rode the bench for 2 years. Thought I wasn't being played because of my color. I got filled up with a lot of attitude. So I quit. Still not a week goes by, I don't regret it. And I guarantee a week won't go by in your life you won't regret walking out, letting them get the best of you. You hear me clear enough?